So last week I watched the pilot episode of Stargirl called Pilot. They do that a lot these days. And I concluded that I figured it probably wasn't for me. It's not, I can't say it's bad. It's not. The production quality is really good. The plot points are okay. Some of the performances are lackluster to a certain extent, especially Luke Wilson. I get the feeling he's not interested. But that's too bad, buddy. They're paying you, so you need to up your game there. The rest of it is it's surrounded by the very generic and formulaic high school plots and stuff, which I have zero interest in, and it's enough to probably push me away if that's pretty much what they're going to do. I can't remember if they said whether or not the age of the character so that she could be close to graduation and move on to something else. And to get out of that, but they're probably going to stick with that for a while. And then the family is, kind of another template and formula from sitcoms and all that. But all in all, I was just sort of kind of, I don't know what to say. And so I figured, hey, you know what? I'll give it a chance for another episode before it's just not really fair to rule on one. So I watched the second one, which was titled S.T.R.I.P.E, which is, the name. Well, basically Stripes' new name, as he has his giant robot that he flies around in to help Stargirl out and all that sort of stuff. So at the end, you're introduced to that, where she was being menaced by a brainwave, and they pick up right where they left off. And this one, by comparison, is better because it's more of the adventure happens. The guy playing Brainwave, like I said in the previous one, he doesn't look like the original Brainwave. He's just basically not bald. He's a full head of hair. But he is quite good. In fact, we get more of the villains in this one, and they're just more interesting. They're far more interesting than the hero cast or the good guys. And I guess it's a lot of times that's typical. And you often hear actors say they much prefer to play the villains. It's just they dive into it more, and they have more fun doing it and this sort of thing. And it really shows. And the Brainwave, this guy is able to play this rather creepy guy, and he does it in a subtle manner in some ways. I mean, the way he's the bad guy and all that, and especially the way he is with his son. On the one hand, it appears he does care for his son, but on the other hand, he's evil. So, and there's a scene where he doesn't know if his son will inherit his powers or not, and he's trying to see if that happens. And the son has no idea what he's talking about. And so there's some interest there. He's not just this cold-hearted man who doesn't really care. And he does take it quite personally that Stargirl apparently attacked his son, and he thinks it's all about revenge for what the Injustice Society did to the Justice Society and all of that. And she's only just now learning all this, but he doesn't know, how she came upon the Star staff and all that sort of thing. The silliness elements of it is, of course, she needs her costume, so she finds the Starman costume and then decides to change it and stitch it to fit her. And she does this by stuffing it in her duffel bag and goes to school, and then goes into I guess the home ec classroom or whatever, a classroom where they teach you how to sew. So there's all these sewing machines, and she sneaks in there. Nobody sees it, and the class, I guess, was just not in session that day. And because you can imagine, how long does it take to do this? And she's not going to class, so I guess she's just cutting class this whole time. And she ends up basically damaging all the sewing machines, because for whatever the suit is made of is really sturdy stuff, and it's very difficult. But Oh, she manages to make it into the Stargirl outfit, and it's all very silly. But what are you gonna do? At least they show her doing it. It's some of these, like some of the Spider-Man movies, the old ones, where he just shows up in this perfect superhero outfit, and is like, "Hey, where'd you get that?" Before of course, they just threw in Tony Stark and all that. But so she gets her suit, and she's all ready to go. But they have this parent-teacher day at school, and of course Brainwave is there, and he's looking for, who is this girl? I know she's at high school and all this stuff, and he's trying to find her, and there's several times where he almost sees that it's Courtney and all that stuff. And it's fine. They do well with it. They're introducing characters to one another, and meanwhile, Dugan, Luke will. I mean, not Luke. Yeah, Luke will. I almost called him Owen, but he's Pat Dugan. Stripe's here, or Stripe at this point, and they're both, looking for Brainwave. And eventually, of course, she finds him, and he gives this threat and says, "I'll kill your mother. I can make her have a stroke. No one will know. And unless you give me the Star Step, so meet me here at midnight and hand it over, and I'll leave you alone." And so she's terrified and all this stuff. And then Pat says, "I don't want you doing that. I'll deal with this." And he says, "If I don't come back, within the hour or whatever, I can't remember, take your mom and leave town." And how she would achieve this, she would have to explain everything, I guess. I don't know. But, of course, Dugan is going to hop into his robot and fly over there and try to defeat Brainwave. His robot's very impressive, but Brainwave is far too powerful, and he's really no match for him, and he gets pretty much knocked on his butt. And then Stargirl shows up and has to engage Brainwave in the fight. She almost loses, and it's really, and because a lot about it is like a young adult teenage audience and kids and stuff that they seem to be directed towards. And yet the scene there where he's getting ready to kill her is really, it's bad. I mean, she starts bleeding out of her ear, and I'm like, oh my God. And then she turns the tables with the Star Staff, and of course the staff itself, and I can't remember, I didn't read a whole lot. I knew very little of Stargirl in the comics. I read some of JSA, but and she was just one of the supporting characters and all that. Does the Star Staff have its own sentience, its own mind or what have you? Because it certainly does here. It's demonstrated that. And so you can argue that the staff itself rose to the occasion to defend her, because she was pretty much done for. And so it fries a Brainwave's brain, basically. His whole head's glowing and stuff, and he falls over in a coma, and that's it for Brainwave for now. I imagine he'll either come back, and I'm thinking at some point his son will succeed him. Now, in the comics, I believe the son ultimately became a heroic character and didn't follow the old man's footsteps into evil. Right now, he's just the high school bully, but maybe he'll come around. I don't know where they'll go with that. But right now, dear old dad is in the hospital in a coma, and so Icicle comes into town and says, "Well, I got to take over the gang and try to figure this out." And the secret headquarters is underground, and of course they're in cahoots with what I believe is the mayor of the town, and the whole town is apparently some sort of project they've been working on. And I kind of wondered if this was something they're trying to make the perfect town, and they're actually wanting to abandon their past. But now they're going to go back to their old ways because they think Stargirl's coming for them and all that. And in reality, they're trying to make a home for family and kids and all that sort of stuff. And that would be an interesting storyline if that's what they're going to do, and then it's all really a big case of misunderstanding and it all goes terribly wrong. But it's probably going to be something political, and oh God, I hope they don't do that. But meanwhile, Solomon Grundy is locked down there in a cell of some sort. They still got him, and so Icicle, well, I guess will be the next villain that she'll deal with. And maybe she'll knock them all down one by one. Meanwhile, what's his name? The wizard or what have you. He's a muckety muck in town too. He seems to you get the vibe that he wants to move on. He doesn't really want to be a part of this. When Brainwave comes to his house to tell him what's going on, but we'll see how that works out. And more details of the other kids who will eventually be the new JSA and all that. And I mean, some of the promo images look really bad. I hope they don't screw that up. But this is a better episode than the previous one. There's still a lot of problems with it. Some scenes were good that Luke Wilson did. Others, it just seems like he's not that interested. There's this scene with him and a guy who owns a gym, is a trainer, and he's trying to get him into shape. And boy, they might as well just say it. This guy has the hots for Pat Dugan. I mean, because that's what it looks like to me. I mean, he even smacks him on the ass and everything. I mean, come on. Well, the thing about Pat Dugan, with the description of his relationship with Starman, and now he's going to be the stepfather to Stargirl and all that, I kind of thought they should have made it that he was some kind of savant and didn't. It's not really spelled out there. I mean, here he was an adult man, and he was friends with this teenage boy who becomes a superhero and all that. It's a little odd. But if he was like a simpleton of some sort and had trouble with society, and the only one who understood him was a kid and that sort of thing, you could understand it. And then now you say, well, gee, look, he managed to marry this hot wife and all this stuff. But she's like settling for this guy that she probably feels sorry for, but at the same time he's supportive and he's there, whereas the man she really loved just disappeared, who may or may not have been Starman. That's their ongoing thing. Courtney's convinced that he was Starman, but the names don't add up, and what's going on there, who knows. Again, I don't know the story, and that doesn't mean anything, because it doesn't mean it's going to follow the comic exactly, but so all around okay. So I guess there's a possibility here, but I once thought that of Black Lightning and Supergirl, and boy was I wrong. And of course you can say, oh, well, you can compare it to, at least it's not Batwoman, and it's like, that's saying absolutely nothing. Production quality is excellent. Of course, there's more money spent on this than any of the CW shows, which has never really bothered me that much. It becomes a bit of a problem for The Flash and stuff like that, which could be a really great show, but they don't have the material to do episodes without the special effects and stuff. So when they don't have the money for it and they got to do this filler stuff, it's really awful. So how long can the money run for Stargirl? I don't know. Maybe they've got 13 episodes for this one. They probably should have cut that down. But it looks good and great, but that in the end means nothing, because Star Trek Discovery looks fantastic. It's utter garbage story-wise, just insultingly so. Special effects is just, it's just the icing with no cake. So, and another thing I got to correct from the last review, when I saw the repeat on CW, I watched a few minutes of it. Someone was saying, hey, it flows better with commercials. I don't know, but I'd forgotten that it does establish that she is a gymnast, so that fits perfectly with what she does with the staff and all that, and how she maneuvers with it and all that stuff. It's all perfect for her to do her gymnastic skills, and that's one of the things that bothered about the school, is how I missed it. But of course I don't like high school stories, so I guess I blanked out on it, that there was no gymnastic program at the school, so she was upset about that. But now she's got her Stargirl career. So it's a silly thing. The humor is not that great. They need somebody who's better at that and come up with scenarios that are funny and deliver it better. Her brother's weird to the point that I think it was one of the other YouTubers that said he comes across as he's already an adult, and that's right, he is sort of talking like an adult person. And I kind of, hey, is he going to turn out to be some sort of strange entity from another universe or something? I don't know. I doubt it, but it is rather odd. I don't think they thought that through. So it might be just an okay show. I don't know. I don't know. The production quality makes it look like it could be great, but I don't think it'll achieve that. But the second episode, it's a better episode than the first one, so I'll watch the next one and see where this goes. So that's all you can do with anything, of course, but certainly with this, where I'm still rather just barely lukewarm towards it at this point. All right, there you go. Boy, this took a lot longer than it should have. Oh, gee, I apologize. Anyway, Stargirl. Check it out if you wish. You can get it for free on the CW online if you're not watching it on TV, or, of course, you can go and get it on the DC Universe app, where I get it. Yeah. Anyway, thanks. Alright, thank you for watching and listening, Slay. Why not like and subscribe, and check out that link description below. That'll take you to my mini stores and have plenty of goodies for you. You know, hats, mugs, stickers, posters, all that goody stuff. Plus, you can head over to indieplanet.com and pick up a copy of my comic book, Night Night. Oh, yeah. Plus, you can also catch my podcast, Mr Nailsin Show, over at RadioMisfits.com. And you can also watch my videos on my channel at BitChute. That's the Mr Nailsin channel on BitChute.com.